You order food tonight. Maybe you tap 4 times on a screen. 30 minutes later, a stranger hands you a bag, and you never once have to think about where any of it actually came from. That's dinner. For you. For your ancestors, dinner could kill them back. Getting food wasn't an errand. It was one of the most dangerous things a human being could do with their life. And there was one specific moment in early human history that changed everything about how our ancestors ate, how they thought, and how they survived. The first time they killed something bigger than themselves. What actually happened that day is going to change how you think about every meal you've ever eaten. For most of early human history, meat wasn't hunted the way you picture it. It was scavenged. Early hominins waited. They watched lions and hyenas make a kill, then moved in afterward, fighting off smaller scavengers for whatever scraps were left on the bone. Anthropologists call this the confrontational scavenging model, and the evidence for it is written directly onto ancient bones. Cut marks from stone tools, layered on top of tooth marks from carnivores. The order tells the story. The predators fed first. Humans fed second. For hundreds of thousands of years, that was the ceiling, not the top of the food chain. Somewhere in the middle of it, waiting for leftovers. Then something shifted. Around 500,000 years ago, at a site called Boxgrove in England, archaeologists found something that rewrote the timeline entirely. Horse bones, butchered with such precision and speed that researchers could reconstruct the entire event. And embedded in one of those bones was the unmistakable damage pattern of a wooden spear, thrown with enough force to penetrate deep tissue. Not scavenged. Hunted. Killed on purpose by a human, aiming a weapon at an animal many times their size and strength. Picture what that morning actually looked like. A small group, maybe 6 or 7 individuals, moving low through tall grass, wind in their faces so their scent wouldn't carry ahead of them. A horse herd grazing, alert but not yet alarmed. This hunt required something scavenging never did: coordination. Someone had to drive the animal toward the others. Someone had to hold position and wait, spear raised, heart pounding, knowing that a miss meant the horse ran and everyone went hungry, and knowing that a hit at close range meant an animal in pain and panic, capable of killing anyone standing too close with a single kick. Archaeologist Matthew Pope, who has spent years studying the Boxgrove site, describes what those hunters needed as something close to a shared mental map. Not just physical coordination, but the ability to predict what a terrified, injured animal would do next, and communicate that prediction to teammates without a shared spoken language as we'd recognize it today. That is a level of cognitive complexity we don't usually associate with humans 500,000 years removed from us. And then the animal goes down. Try to sit with that moment honestly. Not the sanitized version. The actual sound of it. The weight of a half-ton animal hitting the ground. The other hunters closing in fast, because a downed horse can still injure or kill you in its final moments of thrashing. And then, for the first time in that group's living memory, more meat than they could carry, more meat than they'd ever stood over in their entire lives, and it happened because of something they did, not something they found. This is the part that gets skipped in most retellings. That first successful hunt didn't just feed people. It rewired what people believed was possible. Anthropologist Sarah Hrdy's research into cooperative breeding and group survival suggests that a successful group hunt does something psychologically distinct from scavenging ever could. It creates what she calls shared intentionality, a group of individuals who now know, at a felt level, that acting together produces outcomes none of them could produce alone. That's not a small cognitive shift. Some researchers argue it's one of the seeds of everything that came after it. Planning. Division of labor. Trust between people who are not blood relatives. The entire architecture of human cooperation may trace back to moments exactly like this one. There's also a colder side to this story, one that gets left out because it's uncomfortable. A successful hunt meant abundance for a few days. And abundance among early humans wasn't automatically shared equally. Some anthropological models of hunter-gatherer behavior suggest early meat sharing was strategic, not purely generous. The person who made the kill, or who threw the decisive spear, gained something scavenging never provided: status. A first, primitive version of reputation, built entirely on the willingness to risk your body against something that could kill you. That risk-status link didn't disappear. Some researchers trace an unbroken line from that first hunter standing over a fallen horse to modern human hierarchies still partly built on demonstrated risk and capability. Here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. The instinct that made that first hunt survivable, the fast, coordinated fear response, the ability to read a group's collective next move without words, the adrenaline that sharpens focus instead of freezing you. All of that is still fully wired into your nervous system right now. You have never used it to bring down a horse with a wooden spear. But your amygdala doesn't know that. It still floods your body with the exact same chemical signature during a near miss on the highway, during a confrontation at work, during any moment your brain interprets as something big and dangerous is happening, and the group needs to act as one. You are carrying hunting hardware into a world that almost never asks you to hunt. Neuroscientist Antonio Damasio's research into what he calls somatic markers suggests that emotional responses tied to physical risk were never designed to disappear, just because the risks changed shape. The body keeps responding to modern stress, a confrontation, a deadline, a public failure, using circuitry built for a much older and more literal kind of danger. That's part of why modern conflict can feel disproportionately intense in your body compared to what's actually at stake. Your nervous system hasn't been told the horse hunt is over. Back at Boxgrove, after the meat was carried back, after it was shared, argued over, eaten, something else happened that left no physical trace at all but mattered more than the bones ever could. That group went to sleep that night with a different understanding of themselves. Not passive participants waiting for scraps from someone else's kill, but agents capable of imposing their will on an animal many times their size, together, on purpose. That shift in self-understanding may be one of the most consequential moments in the entire story of human cognition, and it left behind nothing but a few cut marks on a horse bone that archaeologists almost missed entirely. You will probably eat something today without a single thought about where it came from. Somewhere underneath that convenience, in a part of your nervous system that has never once been updated, there is still a hunter crouched in tall grass, spear raised, waiting for the exact right moment to act, because 500,000 years ago, that decision, made correctly once, changed what an entire species believed it was capable of. If you want more stories like this, ones that dig into what's still running underneath modern behavior, this channel is exactly built for that. Hit subscribe. It costs nothing, and it tells the algorithm this kind of storytelling deserves to keep existing. See you in the next one.